Alright guys, I've got some very bad news if you're an NA fanboy or a Peterbot fanboy going into globals, and that is the fact that Vanya, Pixie, Marius are looking insanely primed up. They just dropped a 20 bomb in the EVA finals, so normally people drop like 5 kill wins trying to get the prize money. These guys dropped a straight up 20 bomb, which is absolutely crazy. And also, very, very importantly, they are now uncon at OXR HQ. Of course, Vanya's going to win this heal off. We'll break down this full game, all of their strategies that they're doing, including some slightly suspicious stuff at the start right here, as you can see. And let's take a look at the map real quick going into globals. And this is really, really a big change. So now Peterbot is getting double cons, especially a triple con going on at this new POI that just got a change and got the coin added to about 50% of the game. So we've got Epic Whale Paper, who are not leaving this spot. This Japanese team right here also are just like permanently beefing on Twitter. They are not leaving. So that leaves Peterbot in a pretty difficult spot where, you know, all of the spots that he's left are now either, you know, double conned or single conned, so he can't really go back anywhere, and he's forced into the situation where, you know, there's 3 teams landing here, and he is one of them. Another big change that I should note is Vico, Ven, and Flixie are now uncon, and they also won a game in this EVO final. So let me know down below if you want to see a video on them before globals. I'd quite like to watch them since they've been looking a little bit, you know, not washed, but like a little bit ropey compared to Vanya, Pixie, Marius. These guys, in my opinion, or without a doubt, the best EU team. And I actually think there's a very strong case that EU will be winning globals this year. Let me know what you guys think of that in the comments. I really do think they are the favourites going into globals this year. As you can see, they won Major 2, they got 3rd in Major 1 and Major 3 as well. And throughout this entire year of trios, they've literally just been winning like half of the cups. They've been doing very, very well, earning basically every single cup, placing extremely well. And of course, they've got some interesting strats, which is what we're going to take a look at today. But start off with, they are actually contested in this game. So a bit of a preview, you know, if Pete was to go and contest them, this is basically what happens. And OXR, the fight doesn't actually happen in OXR, depending on the bus. It actually happens on this hill the majority of the times. Pixie gets a very, very good drop. He sits on the chest, which is really, really important. The reason he's sitting on the chest is so he can't get slide kicked off, as you can see. This guy's trying to slide kick him off. Pixie sits on the chest, is able to grab absolutely everything. And they take out these 2 players, and they wipe that full trio that was trying to con them. So very, very important strat. I see a lot of people, you know, getting knocked off that hill when ranked and stuff whenever I land there. So they sit on the hill right there. And then we get into this crazy surge trading strat that they've got with another globals team, the team from my last video, the low ground team, Cammy, Cherry, and iDrop. I'll skip a little bit, but as you can see, there is a lot of knocks getting traded in a second between both of these teams. Let's skip forward a little bit. So what they do is they have Marius basically acting as like a little ferry for the loot. So he farms up, you know, all the metal. This spot has got crazy metal. He throws all of the loot over. And while he does this, look what Vanya builds over here. An absolute monstrosity of a surge base. He's going 3 layers up, then out this much, all double layered as well. And then he builds this gargantuan surge base at the end here, all to trade with Cammy, who's, you know, on this side of the map over here, as you can see. So Cammy and iDrop, they do the same thing. They build up an insane amount and they get within render. And personally, I don't want to see this at globals. I actually got lucky enough. I got an invite to globals. So I'll be attending and doing some content, doing some interviews and stuff there. So let me know who you guys want to see me interview and, you know, ask questions off of what questions you want to see me ask. Personally, I don't want to see this at globals. I think this gives a very, very unfair advantage to teams that are like uncon. You know, like Peterbot can never really do this from his spot because he has to fight, you know, 2 teams or spawns. It's a very, very unfair advantage for these teams. And these guys literally just trade, you know, knocks back and forth. And of course, with Marius going over and refarming, you know, bringing all the heals over, there's like no incentive for these guys not to do it. They have so much loot. Another important thing with OXR HQ and why it's such a good drop and why I think these guys could win globals quite easily is you can actually buy crash pads here. So you can, there's a little, in this black market, it's 50 gold, which you spawn with every single game. And you can buy 3 crash pads over and over, which is really, really nice. So you can literally like guaranteed get crashes from this drop. Obviously you get loads of the crates and stuff, but you can use the crash pads, you know, for rotates mid-game and then double back and buy the thingies. And they're actually unlimited in stocks. So it's not like a chance it runs out. You can just buy them over and over. So if you're playing, you know, a cup and you want to get crash pads, you don't have any, just come to this little building right here and you can buy a stack of 3 for only 50 gold. But as you can see, these guys are still trading all of their knocks. And the only reason they stopped trading, actually, is because Pix, Dharm, and Demas, who are another of my favorite EU teams, Also, let me show you guys. These guys are actually uncon. They're kind of going under the radar because they're not the most well-known team, but they're now actually uncon at this mid-map drop. And these guys are very, very aggressive at fighting, but they also trade Surge a lot. So they were trading, in a couple games, but in this game they actually went over and keyed straight into Cammy's team and caught them by surprise, which is quite interesting. So these guys are, I don't think they can win globals. Like, I'm not saying, they're going to be winning, but they could easily top 5 or top 10. And they're kind of going below people's radars at the moment, especially now that they're uncon. They're looking in a lot stronger situation. So after these guys get done trading, they've got like, 2,000 surge or something ridiculous just from trading over and over out there, trading all those knocks back and forth. Alright, so let's skip a little bit of mid-game because there's really not much going on after they've traded Surge that much. And these guys do a couple nice plays. The first thing they do is they crash immediately on partial zone and they go straight to their drop spot from earlier. If you guys remember, I said you can buy all the crash pads here. You should know about this already. But as you can see, they get into this building and they're able to just buy a load of extra crash pads, which is so useful because they're only trying to play 1 stack of crashes. They're only playing 6 crashes. And Vanya does a very, very nice lineup right there, throws the extra crash pad ahead so they can maybe recycle it in a second. But honestly, the majority of the time, you don't actually need to recycle crashes or, use others. If you use 6 correctly, and these guys are really efficient at making use of their crash pads, they always do an actual good lineup, make sure it's the perfect crash to do in that situation. As you can see, they've still got 6. It allows you to basically always have good timings on your rotates if you use the crashes correctly. Importantly here, Vanya just full tops in, not afraid of wasting metal. These guys have got cat mats from how good their mid game's been and how nice the zones have been treating them. They haven't had to do too much, and they immediately start looking for a safe opportunity for a refresh, as you can see. One big thing that people make the mistake of is thinking like every single zone they need to start looking for a refresh and a kill and trying to force it. What you should do is just look for freebies, like right there, somebody padding in, getting a free chop out play, and then as soon as that happens, what they do is they head straight over. Pixie is really good fundamentals here by just claiming all of the loot, making sure everything is airtight, right? So he's blocking all of the angles, getting everything for his teammates. And these guys immediately after this, they don't get distracted like these other teams are of like, trying to fight, trying to box fight or whatever, trying to, just be aggro at this point. Instead, they start focusing on the rotate. And right here, they have a really nice timing on their rotate. As you can see, Vanya's trying to scout it out, figure out where they want to go. And as you can hear in the background, this other team is still fighting and is still distracted. And whenever somebody next to you is distracted and doing something, that means you can do a more risky rotate. So as you can see right here, they do the crash. They make sure to get an extra additional from the floor. They fizz up and they all decide to go. And I really like how they actually wait and sort of let each other go for a second. So they don't waste loads of builds landing in a separate spot. They all know exactly where they're landing, as you can see right here. So Pixie goes first. And very, very crucially, these guys build up on this 7th zone. Of course, the benefit of this is you could pull the partials, so you could pull 8th, and then from there you basically have a free height game and quite a high chance of playing height for the entirety of moving zones. So these guys are basically building up, gambling on it. But even if they don't pull the zone right here, the benefit of building up a little bit is, first of all, you don't get lobby focused as much by Malibuka's team down here or other teams in front, as you can see. But also, very, very nicely, is it allows your next rotate to be much easier and also get free kills on people rotating in behind you. So basically, if you're just outside the zone, it's always better to ramp up, especially on the 7th zone, and fully build up, because of course there's a chance you get partial and you can just win the game from playing height. You can get easier kills, easier free picks on backside like they're doing here, especially they're triple running OXR, except Marius is using the pistol. So 2 OXRs and a pistol, you get a lot of output and DPS. Obviously the OXR, you get the extra headshot multiplier. And also, if they pull zone here, they can literally have a free win. However, what they're doing is before the zone even pops, they're getting ready to insta-go. And why would you ever get ready to insta-go since, of course, this next zone, it's completely out? Well, they're getting ready to insta-go if it pulls dead side down here. So you can see Vanya is literally already scouted out. He's holding his crash pad out, getting ready to go. Doesn't throw it until zone pop. But if zone was to pull over here, they could easily, and I mean really easily, take height, win the game, just sort of dominate the lobby from that spot. And this is something I don't see a lot of other globals teams doing. They're obviously getting ready for rotates, but they're not planning, if it pulls dead side, if it pulls towards the water, how are you going to rotate? Unfortunately for them, it pulls straight through congestion, straight through all these other teams, and they need to do some different type of rotate in this situation. Honestly, this is like a pretty tough rotate because there's a team sort of on height opposite, loads of teams next to them, and these guys do a really, really smart play. Similar to what I was saying earlier with the timing, where you want to let other people either go or you want to let other people get distracted and start fighting each other. These guys do a really, really smart timing rotate in a second. So as you can see, they throw their crash. Important to not throw your crash so it's like sticking out the box and someone can shoot it. I see a lot of people doing that. And then they just wait. They tap fizz, and they just wait for a second, which is so smart. The reason they're doing this is that they're going to waste a couple splashes, waste a little bit of whites that they'll have to use, but it allows them to do a much safer rotate because, of course, everybody down here, like Malabuka's team has had to go, this team has already had to go, all of these other teams have gone first, and that allows these guys to not risk getting, completely fried. They're still going to take some damage, so importantly, they, build and bunny hop as they go. They all get nicely grouped together and pause in this little under the bridge spot, and they also very, very nicely hit, find a nice refresh onto Volko as well, throw the body back, instantly get all together, and that one refresh, in my opinion, that's probably the most impactful kill of the game, because this is like the perfect time to get a refresh, just before endgame, when everybody's having to move, and of course when you need to like restock your heals a little bit. They've obviously used some heals already. Now they can all get up to 200 HP, with a couple splashes. They all get up to 200 HP. They restock their crashes once again, so they still got 6 crash pads. So, very, very impressive stuff by them, having 6 crash pads this late into the game. They've already thrown another one, planning out their rotate once again. And as you can see, they are perfectly, situated to have a good end game. They've got the slurps, they've got fizz still, they've got med mist as well. And they just continue their rotate. And nicely here as well, going towards, potentially going towards dead side. Their back is towards dead side right here. They're not in the dead side where they could get focused, but their back is towards dead side. So it's much harder to get like lobby focused or lobby sprayed. And they also claim a load of space wide, which is quite important as well. They're not just building, a 2x1 or, 3x1. Instead, they're building a load of space wide and up. So even harder to get lobby sprayed. Very, very good fundamentals by all of these guys. I mean, you'd hope that, EUF and CS winners would have good fundamentals, but these guys really, really do. Now, going into first moving, they're, in a similar situation where it's a kind of a tough rotate. They're scouting out the team on height, because obviously they know height is the best way to win a game in a victory format, which is something we'll touch on more as we get into solo cash cups this season. The solo series is starting just after globals. Literally just after globals it starts, and these guys scout out their rotate, look for some kills backside. Very, very nice crash. They also angle their crash, as you can see, so they're all hitting it correctly. And Vanya does a really nice play right here. Instead of like trying to waste 2 crashes and save mats, he knows they're super stacked. All he does is just slide, build floors, and then just full tarp the rest of the zone. Like literally such good fundamentals by him to not get greedy, not be like trying to do some fancy stuff like double crash and, then cut off dead side or whatever. He's just full tarping, hoping, if zone pulls back or if zone pulls to the sides, they're going to be a really good spot for next zone. And it's more likely that the zone pulls somewhat back, especially in an endgame like this, than it pulls, far, far, far over and over, and tarping is a bit of a waste. Also, one thing I want to note quickly, this is like a really fine micro detail, so hopefully you guys appreciate this. But Pixie, as I was saying, is like, obviously one of the best players in the EU, but he gets beamed 100 here. So take a look how he heals up. I thought this was quite interesting. So he obviously doesn't want to waste a slurp. He's going to pop a big. Look where he stands as he pops the big. I don't know if this is intentional or not. Let me slow down my camera. But he stands in the middle sort of the floors. So if a team was to try to spray him down or spray the wall, right? Just let's say, for example, someone sprays him over this side, he can obviously just step to the side, doesn't have to cancel as big. If someone sprays his floors, he can just step to the side as well. Very, very smart positioning by him, and it's quite deliberate, right? Like he's like deliberately standing here for a second, getting the big pot off. It's a really, really small micro detail, right? But those little details, like not standing in the middle where somebody can cone you and then drop you down in and then you're just dead with 1,000 mats, are like the difference between a tier 1 and a tier 2 player. And it's also a difference between, consistency in a globals format as well, which is why these guys, I think, are most likely to win. I don't know if they're ahead of Acorn and Poyo, but they're definitely a strong contender. Right here, they go for a nice little height chop onto Thomas HD. However, they do the height chop, but they don't like let Thomas know that they're going up for it, right? You can see they do the height chop. They've tarped in fully. They've got a couple extra boxes. You can see here they've got 2 boxes in, which gives them a little bit breathing room when next zone swaps. So they can do a crash, or they can do a simple rotate. They can fizz up. A little bit of extra room. They chop out Thomas, But look what happens. As soon as Anas falls and builds in wood, that lets them know that height is actually free. Like, look, Vanya's spots, height is free right here because of the mat advantage, right? Because they've been playing mid-ground, because they've been getting refreshes. They have over 3,000 mats. And if we swap over to Hellfire, Anas, and Thomas, these guys are building wood, tells you that they've got like a 3 times mat advantage just because they're building wood, right? And take a look at this absolute max from Vanya right here. This is such a smart crash pad. I saw Fredox use as well. A ramp crash pad, sprint onto it, go flying up like this. And look at that. Max onto Hellfire. Let's swap over to Pixie. Let's just watch Pixie for the rest of the same game. He's absolutely crazy. Takes out the second. Unfortunately, they trade a knock. Pixie is not interested in, helping the res out. Instead, he prioritizes just getting into box, taking out the last player. And of course, they're going to get the res off. These guys, I don't know how they do it, but they're always getting reses off endgame. It's probably because they're saving splashes for, the majority of it. But they're so good at getting reses off. And also, importantly, as they get that res off, they're not like faffing around, healing up backside. In Vanya is because he's 20 HP. But these guys are instantly tarping front, connecting, establishing height fully. So now, even though they've got knocked and they're super low, everybody else, all these other good teams in this lobby, are thinking height is completely stacked. They think it's still Thomas, right? But he's just got more mats. They don't actually know that there's been a massive fight on height because of how quickly it ended after that crash pad play. Vanya, very smart, goes back and doubles for the spare med miss right there. Now he's basically secured heal off. And let's watch Pixie. Honestly, I think Pixie is like the best player in the world when it comes to like soft fighting second height. If you guys don't know what soft fighting is, it's basically where you just fight without risking dying. So you're not like fully jumping in, trying to grab doubles, being super aggro. Instead, you're just sort of like swapping around angles, being very, very aggro, pressuring people, but you're not risking taking loads of damage. And you're obviously trying not to die before, the final moments of the zone, since you might need to be alive to help fight the 3v3 at the very, very end. And this is where Pixie, the majority of his kills come from. At the end right here, as you can see. Pablo tries to go up, decides to go down, immediately knows that this is a threat, and take a look at what he does. Max, absolutely no greed trying to fight Chino right there. Obviously Chino could kill him if he was to edit. Instead he just gets straight back up, gets the medkits, ferries up to his teammates, and that is like just the perfect way of soft fighting, where you very, very slowly aggro, you go for kills when there's an opportunity, but you're not risking like getting on the walls of a full trio. Which is what I see a lot of teams doing. Veno used to be really good at this, but I think Pixie has like sort of mastered it, especially in the current sort of trio meta. Pixie is so good at this type of play style. As you can see, he continues to drop very smartly, using the jump coin really, really nicely as well that they got from a kill earlier. Not greedy and going for loot right here, you can see. This was nice as well. That little look down wall grab. Awareness check onto Mappy right here. And Marius helps him out, gets that knock. Very, very lovely stuff. And now they get into the situation where it's like a final zone 3v3. So let's swap over to Marius that we saw in the intro and take a look at how Marius is going to play this. So first of all, very, very importantly, is they let it stabilize, which I think is quite good. You don't want to like rush the 3v3, especially when the low ground team is going to normally be more scuffed, right? You don't like rush jumping down and giving up a load of loot. Instead, let the zone shrink, let these guys like bump each other into storm. Also let Vanya up top like secure the win, basically. Like Vanya's just completely chilling up here. You don't want to drop down and like milk, right, just before the final zone, and then your teammate gets shot out and they have to play early heal off, and then you lose because of that, as you can see. So they make sure to play nice and slow. Marius does a really, really smart crouch lurk, gets the knock right there onto one of them, onto focus. Then Pixie is playing time. He's cut them off on front side. Look at this little cut off by Pixie. As Marius does that drop down lurk right there on the back and blocks himself off. And then Pixie also does a front side cut off at that exact time. And yeah, for this other team, there's not really much they can do. Upall hits a nice shot. Another Globals player who's landing at the bottom of the map next to Veno and Vico and Flixie. And Mixon right here, because he had his heal off interrupted, because he doesn't have height, I mean, he's just getting griefed by Vanya, shooting him over and over. And yeah, Vanya's just like guaranteed won this game. Loads of extra heals back here. Their height tarp is just like nothing that the other guy can do. And if the other guy was to come over, somehow Vanya has still got 3 crash pads. Like, I don't know who's got 3 crash pads this late into the game, except Vanya. Like, absolutely beautiful stuff by these guys. So let me know down in the comments, do you think EU can win globals? And from your EU pick, who is more likely to win? So there's basically, 4 main EU teams that I think could win. Vanya Pixie Marius, Swizzy Queasy Moustache, who are looking very good as well. They just won the Div Finals. Vico Vano Flixi. And then also, it's kind of a coin toss between iDrop Cherry and Cami and Pixstarm Demus. Both Uncon, both little Polish goats. Maybe doing some surge trading shenanigans. But we shall see. I think EU has a very, very strong chance of winning this Globals. And it's sort of long overdue. EU hasn't won a Globals in a major event since, World Cup, basically. It's been a while for a EU major win on that. So we'll see how it goes. Let me know down in the comments, do you think EU can actually win? And let me know if you want to see a Vico Vano Flixi VOD as well later this week. I appreciate you guys watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. And make sure to subscribe. And I will be going to Globals, so I will be doing some interviews. Let me know who you want to see interviewed, what players, what questions. Let me know down in the comments. Loads of cool stuff coming up as well.